Good evening and welcome to Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. We're here today with our guest, Joseph Trahan. He's a candidate for the Texas State Representative District 22 right here in Texas. Well, welcome guys. How are you guys today?
Doing good.
That's
Hi.
good. Hey, I'm waiting on my host, LaDonna Sherwood. She's not here, so we're going to move on with the show. And Francis is running late and might not be able to make it, so we're going to go into our show for tonight. And tonight, our special guest, again, Joseph Trahan, candidate for Texas State Representative District 22. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm
Doing good.
Okay, I've
Doing
got.
very well.
Well, I don't have my host here, but I do have my roundtable cast crew here. Perry Busby out of Plantation, Florida.
You just had to say that. I know that.
And I have Terry Roy, who's part of the crew, and Tricia Primo, who's joined us lately. So we're going to get right back into what we do every week, and that's to bring you the latest from what's going on here in Southeast Texas. So we'll be right back in about 30 seconds. Welcome to Knowledge is Power Podcast Live with your host, Tony Redford, and my co-hosts, LaDonna Sherwood and Francis Lawkins.
Knowledge is Power Podcast Live starts now.
Joseph Trahan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. How are all
Great.
of you doing?
I'm great. We're wonderful. Good to have you here
It's
with
been, a,
us.
it's
Here
been
at
a,
our-
a busy day of campaigning, from block walking to attending events, and so I apologize for my, but I'm always on the grind.
That's okay. That's what you have to do if you want to make it. That's the way you want to do. So, Tricia, would you kind of lead us off here? I know I jumped on you real quick, so I'll just ask Trish right now.
Hi, Joseph. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm just going to jump right in because it's a big topic that I do a lot of talking and advocating for. Flood mitigation. What is your views on that, and what are your goals?
Well, first and foremost, I'll tell you that the two entities within the District 22 that have a lot of oversight and influence over the projects that relate to drainage and flooding mitigation. Like, for example, detention ponds, creating larger ditches, deeper ditches, as well as raising property levels, is going to be Drainage District 6 and 7. Drainage District 6 and 7 rely heavily on state funding that is appropriated during each legislative session. And so for me, I'm a firm believer that as state representative that I would do my dead level best to be a vocal advocate for the increase in funding for projects that benefit coastal communities like Jefferson County. Just this last legislative session, there was big talk about somewhere around $1 billion in funding that was added to go towards flood mitigation issues, but that was statewide. And when you look at Drainage District 6 and 7, one project can be tens of millions of dollars. And that's just one project in one county in the over 200 plus counties in the state of Texas. And so I do believe that we have to do a better job of increasing funding to be able to support coastal communities, to improve flooding and drainage issues, to be innovative, to be receptive to new ways of developing flood mitigation and drainage mitigation issues, whether it be technological advancements, improvements to area infrastructure that we see other states or even countries utilize that have a lot of natural disasters. And so that is something that's actually a major platform point of mine, is to be a major advocate for the increase in funding and support for our flooding and drainage issues to support drainage districts 6 and 7. But beyond that, whenever we do have disasters, for example, I'm getting a lot of feedback. Whenever there are issues relating to flooding or drainage, specifically when we have natural disasters, it is paramount that people understand that the first line of defense is going to be your county governments, your municipal governments. That's like the sheriff's department, commissioner's court, city governments. If a city or county does not have the resources or capabilities and they need more assistance, then they increase the level to the state of Texas. For example, the Department of Emergency Management. And if we need more assistance from there, if they don't have the resources or the tools that we need, or if they're not adequate enough, then you go up another level. And that's where the federal government comes in. We hear of entities like FEMA, but also there was federal legislation that was passed some years ago that allows for other states surrounding the state of Texas, for example, to be able to provide assistance as well. So there's a lot of opportunity to receive assistance during disasters. But to kind of go back a little bit with flood mitigation, it starts with adequate funding for our programs, as well as effective communication strategies, where we are working through my office as a state representative diligently to be an advocate and intermediary between the federal government as well as the local governments to ensure that communication lines are open and to know what exactly it is that we need to improve our situation here in Jefferson County. Because again, Harvey, Imelda, that was something that was unprecedented. And so I want to make sure that I can be of use as best I can in that area.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe. It says where you're going to fight, to have better jobs, for maybe not just Beaumont, but for the district that you cover. What are some of the things you have in mind to do to bring jobs, might like to Beaumont and things like that?
Thank you so much. We finally got internet connection on the actual computer. Could you please repeat your question? I was in the transition because I wanted y'all to be able to see me and be a little bit more professional.
Okay, it says that part of your platform is jobs. And,
Yes.
We live in an area that, jobs are scarce, especially out here in Beaumont. It's hard to even get a job to bring to employ 200 people at a time out here. What are some of your goals in trying to get that done?
Well, first and foremost, a lot of what I see in other communities like Travis County, where I went to the University of Texas at Austin, or even Harris County, or even Dallas County, is that their elected officials, including the state representatives, are dogged advocates for economic development in the community, or rather the constituency that they represent. There are numerous corporations, whether they be new startups or legacy entities, that are choosing to move to the state of Texas because we don't have an income tax, and they like the expansive land developments that we have and the friendly nature of business. And so for me, I think from a Jefferson County perspective, the state representative and his or her office has to be more effective and proactive in making sure that we have a good working relationship with not only the city of Beaumont, because your question was specific to Beaumont, but also the Chamber of Commerce and the state legislature. Being someone who is willing to utilize that position to reach out to organizations and companies that are considering to expand, to request private meetings, to be willing to provide tours of the community, and to educate on the strengths that we have as a District of 22, because the District 22 encompasses, of course, Beaumont, but also Port Arthur, Groves, Nederland, Port Neches, Cheek, and portions of Fannette. And so with that, we have the I-10 corridor, which goes straight through the city of Beaumont. We have the Port of Beaumont. We have the nation's energy sector that is spending billions upon billions of dollars, not only in existing infrastructure, but in developing new infrastructure. And so being able to be, as a state representative, a dogged advocate for our strengths and being willing to go out there and compete against the cities of Austin and Houston, and letting people know that as a state representative, I'm someone that is pro-business, someone that believes that we have to do a better job of making sure that we are advocating for corporations that are moving in that if they're going to receive tax abatements, we have to make sure that we're holding them accountable and that they're hiring local people to be able to utilize those open positions rather than individuals coming out from our area, getting a paycheck, and then leaving a mass exodus into other counties or states, taking their dollars with them and not doing much to invest in our own community. And so in summation of that, it's being a dogged advocate, being visible, being willing to put an ear to the ground, know what companies and industries are looking to expand, and going to them, not waiting for them to come to us, not ceding the opportunity to cities like Austin and Houston, but saying, look, here in Beaumont, Texas, and Port Arthur, we have a number of strengths, as I've just and that's what really I think is desperately needed, is an advocate at the state level to promote and be a cheerleader for our area and work effectively with our local governments to expand economic development opportunities, to go beyond just the petrochemical industry, but also within the industry itself, making sure that we're holding them accountable. Because places like Beaumont and Port Arthur, if we're going to provide them tax abatements, if we're going to offer up them our land, then we need to make sure they're being held accountable and training and hiring the people that live in our community.
To upend that, I have a little bit of a question. Tell us a little bit about what the area is that your particular district encompasses and what the office actually entails, because oftentimes we're speaking over people's head. We're talking about state representative and they don't really understand what the